Hey, I want to talk to you tonight. I'm going to talk to all the chosen ones tonight. I got some stuff written down from 1999. I want to talk about just about religion. I'm going to do it every week, once a week. I'm going to break down the cash apps in there for this free information. It's the game. This knowledge is to be, it's a price for this knowledge. You know what I mean? It really has to be some donations to wake these people up, because it's really hard. And what it really is people don't understand what the translations are in the people's state of mind. You know, places, levels of consciousness, events, inner spiritual process. So instead of reading this Bible, I read the Ethiopian Bible as a history. You have to read it as a map of the inner world. So the core idea, everything in the Bible represents you, your thoughts, your emotions, your spiritual evolution. The key examples, straight truth. Adam, not the first man. It represents the natural or human consciousness, the physical mind of Eve. Eve, not literally a woman. It represents the feeling, emotions, the subconscious desires. Jesus Christ was not just a man walking around, was not a man walking around. It represents a divine awakening to the consciousness within you. You understand? So when you always thought people going back to Jerusalem, not just a city, it represents the peace and spiritual awareness, a higher state of mind. People talk about Kemet and Egypt. It's not just a place, it represents a bondage or ignorance or just being stuck in a lower thinking. The devil, Satan, not a red guy with horns. It represents the error of thinking, the illusions, and all the negative mental patterns you do. So how to use it practically, how to use this. Instead of reading the Bible like a story, you ask, what part of me is this talking about? You understand? So, for example, Jesus calming the storm. You're calming your mind and emotions, crossing the Red Sea, breaking through mental limitations with fear. So the importance of this I'm trying to get y'all to understand or understand is that the Bible, I'm going to give a blessing to the white man named Charles Fillmore and all the others. He got it from Egypt, whatnot. Interpret this stuff. Real talk. Get your notes out. This approach is powerful, okay? Anybody want to debate? Here's the truth. It's not accepted by traditional Christianity. It comes from New Thought and esoteric traditions. It focuses more on self-realization than just worship. Why people use it because it turns the Bible into a self-healing manual. So the mind training guide or the spiritual awakening system. You understand? I want you to really understand what this is all about. The Bible and just Christianity and whatnot. So you have to know what this knowledge is. The real code, you know what I mean? The Bible is written in symbolic language of consciousness, okay? So you got God. God really means divine mind, universal intelligence. Man, your awareness, Jesus Christ, your awakening to God's self. Holy Spirit, life force, breath, and intuitions. So the makeup of this Trinity body or Adam, or the physical awareness, the mind, the Son, Christ, the thinking awakening, the Spirit, the Father, divine source, core symbols. You must know God. God is the infinite intelligence, not a man in the sky. Jesus Christ, the awakening state of the consciousness. The goal is to become Christ conscious. So when we talk about the serpent, desires, temptation, and just low urges, not evil, just misused energy. You understand? So when we talk about the tree of life, divine alignment, spiritual truth, the tree of knowledge, duality, the good and the evil, the good and the evil, thinking, hell. Hell really is a mental suffering, confusion, low vibration. Heaven is peace, clarity, and high consciousness, you know what I mean? So sin is misalignment, wrong thinking. Blood is a life force energy. So the major stories decoded. I want y'all to get y'all some pen out and write this down. Let's talk about Genesis, the first book in there, the creation story. Okay, Adam in the Bible is really the conscious mind. Eve is the subconscious feeling. The garden, your mind. The serpent is the desires pulling off the balance. So the message is your thoughts plus feelings create your own reality. You understand? So the Noah's Ark, flood, is really emotional chaos. Ark is higher awareness protecting you. So the message says, stay centered when life floods you. Moses in Egypt. Egypt is the mental slavery. Pharaoh is the ego control. Moses is the inner awakening. So the message is free your mind from control systems. So when we talk about the Red Sea, breaking through fears and limitations. So the wilderness, 40 days, 40 years. That really means spiritual testing and discipline phase. So David versus Goliath. This is really a good one. David is faith, consciousness. Goliath is the fear, the doubt. So the message is small focused mind beats giant fears. So the crucifixion. The crucifixion is killing the ego and self before death. The resurrection is spiritual awakening, rebirth, and important numbers. 3 is the mind, body, spirit. 7 is the completion or the spiritual perfection. 12 is the divine order, the 12 disciplines, the 12 faculties, and the 40 tests equals transformation. The 12 disciples or the 12 powers in you. This is coming from this old teaching from Charles Fillmore. So I'm gonna give you what they really talk about in the Christianity. So when I talk about Charles in the Christianity, it's talking about Luke, Matthew, John, Thomas, and it's an understanding. So when you talk about James, it means strength. Andrew means courage, and Thomas means the understanding. And Matthew means the will. Philip means power. And the Bartholomew is imagination. And when they talk about Seaman or Simon, that means the zeal. Jadicus is the order. You know what I'm saying? James is judgment. Judas is misused mind betrayal. So when you understand how to read any verse in this, it's the master key. You have to ask yourself, who is the character inside of me? What state of mind is this? What is it trying to grow or die? The real message of the Bible strips everything away, and here's the truth. So the Bible is about mastering your mind and aligning with the divine intelligence, transforming from lower to a higher self. The straight truth. So literally reading it keeps people stuck because they can't understand the other side of reading. You know what I mean? The other side wakes people up, but you have to go far. You can't start making up meanings that aren't really grounded. Balance matters. So what you want to do next is, if you really want to master this next step breaks down the chapter. It breaks down chapter by chapter, or it's just the Bible system. Okay, I can take you into deeper. Let's go into Genesis right now. Go to Genesis, verse by verse. Break down Jesus' teaching, decode it fully, or turn it into what you want it to be. You know what I mean? So, if you have any questions, I can do this for you. So when we talk about like the Genesis or creation, Genesis is the first book. It's the creation of the mind. Now they say God in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, but really God, divine mind. That's what it means. God is divine mind, pure intelligence. Like the heaven is the higher consciousness or spiritual awareness. And earth is really the physical awareness or body, material reality. In translations, you really got to begin with the conscious first, then begin physical. So let there be light, that means light is awareness or understanding. This is the moment you wake up mentally, not sunlight. This is consciousness turning on. So God divided the light and from the darkness, right? So light is truth, darkness is ignorance. So you begin to find out that the truth from the illusions is the 6 days of creation. The real meaning is each day is not 24 hours. It's a stage of mental development. You got the light awareness, the firmament, separation of thoughts or the higher lower thinking. The land and plants is still stability and growth mindset. The sun and the moon is the conscious and the subconscious balance. Living creatures, thoughts becoming active, you know what I'm saying? Living creatures, and the man is the full self-awareness. Man made God's image. Man made in God's image, not the physical appearance. The physical appearance means you have to create a mental power like the divine. You understand? So you create through thought, word, belief, and you know what I mean? So Genesis 2 is when it's talking about the inner you. So now let's zoom in from the universal or the personal Adam, or that means the conscious mind, thinking mind. God breathed into Adam. So the breath is the life force spirit. You come alive through divine energy. You understand? So you got the Garden of Eden. Your mind is a pure, at a balanced state, or what they call tree of life. Living in truth, alignment, divine awareness, the tree of knowledge, good and evil. You understand? That means the good and evil means the dual thinking, judging, overthinking, ego-minded. You get what I'm saying? So this is where humans fall. When you start labeling or everything instead of just being aligned. You know, like I said, Eve is the subconscious mind and emotions. Eve comes from Adam, but really it means your feelings come from your thoughts. You understand? So in Genesis 3, we're going to talk about the fall. That means the mental, not the physical. The serpent. Okay, the serpent means desires and temptations. Not evil, just misdirected energy. Eve was tempted. That means your emotions get pulled by desires first. She gave it to Adam. That means then your then your conscious mind acts on what's going on. The pattern, the feeling, the thought, the actions, in reality, you know. So the eye open. The eye open is what we see. It's awareness. It shifts duality, judge, shame, fear. They realize they were naked. When they realize they were naked, that means the self-consciousness is insecurity, but it starts to begin. The ego is born here. You know what I'm saying? The ego started curses, the real meaning of pain in childbirth. That means manifestation becomes harder. Life feels like struggles, man shall told. You get what I'm saying? That means life becomes work instead of flow. The serpent crawls. When they talk about the serpent crawls, it means it desires in the lower nature, banished from Eden. So that means you relate peaceful awareness to inner mental struggle. You get what I'm saying? The real message of Genesis is it's 2 books in Ethiopia called Little Genesis, but the whole story is not about people. It's about what's happening inside of you. You start in pure awareness and you develop thoughts, emotions. You fall into ego, desires, and confusion. You lose inner peace. What most people miss, this is not history. This is a psychological or a spiritual map. So how this applies to you is if you overthink and feel emotion, imbalance, struggle, you are living outside of Eden. I'm telling you, right? You understand it when you can read this stuff. How to return to Eden. Okay, the real practice comes through the thought of Adam. Clean emotions like Eve. Master your desires, that's the serpent. So you choose alignment, that's the true life, the tree of life. Real talk. A lot of people stop here really and just think, oh, it's just a symbolic. No, this is a manual for mastering your mind and reality. You understand? The next level, where we go next. We can continue this breakdown into like whatever you want me to do, Genesis. I'm going to keep going every day. See what I'm saying? I can really help you understand because I studied this stuff for so long. Then I went to metaphysicals and esoteric, so I can really understand what that really means, what y'all missing, you know. So Jesus Christ is like the full consciousness or Christ consciousness of activation. And I want y'all really to know that you can be your God self and figure out what's going on with you, because you have to heal yourself and know what your purpose is on this heaven. What I call earth is heaven. How I live it is heaven. If I live it in bad desires, that's the hell. So you get what I'm saying? So this is the whole breakdown I'm doing about the Bible and King James. So you have to understand that life is much better once you start to wake up and look through this illusion of what they call the Matrix or what they call Babylon. So I want y'all to go subscribe to Legendary Ross Corey. Hit the like button, hit the share, hit the notification, and give thanks and praise to everyone out there that supported me all these years on my channel. Everybody that supported my herbal business and juice. More things to come in the future along with y'all know. So bless and love, one love, family.